Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Ali Hashemian, and I have our guest, President of Fitzwilliams Financial, Mr. Tim Fitzwilliams himself. How you doing today, Tim?
I'm doing great, Ali. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great having you here on the show. We got a lot of things to ask you. I know our audience is excited to hear your knowledge and know-how and experience. So let's jump right into it if you're ready.
Let's dive in.
All right, let's talk a little bit about market volatility and risk. Right now, we're seeing a ton of that, and I know a lot of people are nervous and they don't know what to do. So can you tell us what your take is on this current market volatility and what people should be doing here?
Sure, Ali. I think maybe we're starting to normalize things a little bit. We've had a heck of a run, an absolute bull market. And so it's normal to have some volatility. The question is, are you prepared in your portfolio? Are you diversified enough in your portfolio when the volatility comes? Who's controlling it? It's real easy to be the top dog when everybody's winning, right? It's easy. And so the experts will shine when there's volatility. And I think that's a good metric right now to judge your current financial advisor, to judge your current financial plan.
So how do you know how much risk to take? When I take a look at my portfolio, where do I look to see what kind of risk I'm taking and if that's the right amount?
Absolutely. You know where that starts? That starts with questions about someone's lifestyle. Because not everyone's the same, right? What if someone has a bunch of pensions and they saved up a couple $1 million? Well, they know their money's coming in, so maybe they can afford to take more risk. But maybe you saved up a couple $1 million and you don't have a pension. Now you have to think about, well, maybe I have to create my own pension. So the risk is, you know, once upon a time we'd say the rule of 100, right? Where you take your age and subtract it from 100, and then that's the amount you should have at risk. But it doesn't always fit like that. Nothing's cookie cutter. So to truly figure that out, Ali, you have to really get deep with the questions around your lifestyle. And that will include your budget and taxes and what you want to pass on and things like that. And that's what we love to do, is give that analysis of the portfolio so you know if you're diversified, you know if you are positioned for this time like volatility.
And you know, I know a lot of our viewers out there are retired or they're getting close to retirement age. And what do you think? I mean, there's people out there that say you shouldn't take any risk when you're retired. Others say that you should be taking risk. What are your thoughts on that?
You have to do what you can handle. And that's a deep question. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm not worried about the risk. But then as soon as there's volatility, they're the first ones to call and say, hey, I want to pull out. Because that's the worst thing you can do, right? It's a roller coaster. You got to know that you got your seatbelt in, you're harnessed in, you're strapped down. How much can you handle before you get sick? And that's a real conversation. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, right? And you got to understand, the more risk you're willing to take on, the more reward that you probably should have based on most investments. But what's so crazy right now, Ali, is that everyone is benchmarking off of the S&P 500. And that's so manipulative right now because 25% of that is nothing but Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So it really has given people this false sense of security, thinking that they are, one, diversified, and two, sitting in something that doesn't have much risk.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So what can people do about this? I mean, is there anything in particular you suggest to help manage risk?
Absolutely. I feel they need to sit down with the fiduciary at some level and get comfortable with that firm, understand that they're willing to look at what you want and not just be told or sold. So if that person can open up to that advisor and explain what they want in their life, explain what income they're comfortable with, that will help set the tone for where they want to be invested-wise. Now, that's at the high level, the emotional level. On the more technical level, like for the engineers that are out there, you may be thinking, well, you know, I want to see the actual numbers. Absolutely. Well, that's where my team of experts, including our CFA and our attorney and tax professionals, we're going to run reports like Morningstar to really put an overlay on top of that portfolio to determine fees, to determine your current risk tolerance. You know what's funny is sometimes people think they're in a certain risk. Then we run the report and it's not that.
I bet you see that all the time.
I see that a lot, right?
Yeah.
I've had a couple of times where someone sat there and be like, that can't be my portfolio.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's shocking for a lot of us
Absolutely.
to actually see what goes into this stuff, and that's what you do, huh?
Absolutely right. We provide a full green light retirement check where we're going through their portfolio utilizing advanced software such as Morningstar, but we have others, where we're looking at the portfolio, figuring out their risk tolerance, figuring out where they currently are, what their fees are. And what I think most importantly that most people don't get is diversification, Ali. Some people are like, oh, you know, I'm well diversified, I have all these mutual funds. But like I said, all these mutual funds are made up of the same companies.
Right.
So when we show them that they have Apple 4 times over,
right.
they're like, oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Right.
And the advisor does that because they feel like they're diversified because they have multiple mutual funds. And I'm not saying that's bad to have multiple mutual funds. What I'm saying is you don't want to have the same holdings in each one, and you're not diversified just because there's a different name.
That makes sense. You know, you mentioned this green light system. Can
Sure.
you tell our audience a little bit about that and what they would expect when they go through that process?
So our green light retirement check is very simple. If you decided that you wanted to know what it is you have and are you balanced appropriately for volatility, or if you feel comfortable in your risk but you want a professional opinion, then when you come in on meeting 1, we're going to get to know you. We want to understand what makes you tick. We want to understand what makes you happy, what makes you upset, and what your finances look like. And then from that, my team of experts, along with the software and all the fancy stuff, is going to come in and analyze your current portfolio. And we're going to then take that and put it in a report. And then we're going to give that to you on your second meeting to look at so you can see what we've come up with. And this is all before anyone's even made an obligation to us. We believe people need to know what they have and empower them with that knowledge, especially when there are people out there still feeling comfortable saying, I'm looking at the S&P 500 as to how good I'm doing, because that's not diversification.
So you get a real kind of more holistic look at things when they go through this process.
Points.
Yeah.
Absolutely right, because it's not just about the investment portfolio, is it?
Yeah.
Right? Taxes, insurance. What are you doing for your retirement with your budgeting, right? Budgeting. What about estate planning?
Yeah, that's
right?
a big one.
These are all pieces to the puzzle. And it also creates a little bit of a conundrum where the client or the prospective client is sitting themselves thinking, and you might be thinking this as well, well, who do I call? Do I go to the CPA? Do I go to my attorney? Do I go to my advisor? And I make 4 or 5 different phone calls? How do you put them all together? Do you get them on a conference call? Good luck with that, right? That's very difficult to do, especially with high-level professionals. So that's where I decided, Ali, that I wanted to bring them into our firm. So we brought them in, partially because I'm not good at a lot of things. I'm really good at finding the best, though. And so we made that our goal, was to bring the best professionals we could so that we could do that for the consumer if they wanted to have it done. One stop, Ali, one place, one phone call.
Well, that makes sense. Folks, you heard it here. Give them a call, 800-685-3194. That's 800-685-3194. We got to cut to a commercial, but stay tuned. We got a lot more information coming your way from this man, president of Fitzwilliams Financial. Thanks.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hello, folks. We're back. Spot on the money. I'm your host, Ali Hashemian, and I'm joined by our guest president of Fitzwilliams Financial, Mr. Tim Fitzwilliams himself. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great, Ali.
We had
Thanks
a great first segment. I'm excited for our second segment. We're going to be talking about taxes.
Oh, that's the most exciting subject, right? Everybody loves to talk about that.
And this is the part of the show where we like to put you on the spot by asking you a question that we got from one of our previous viewers. They said, what's the difference between tax planning and tax preparation?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. There's a huge difference. When you look at tax planning, you're looking at how can taxes affect your current lifestyle or perhaps your retirement. And so you need to adjust things in order to maybe change what the taxation will be. With preparation, you're just taking the now. It has nothing to do with the future. It's just a recording. It's a historical thing, right? You're a historian. Planning is more looking at what's going to happen and where I want to go.
And so do you guys at Fitzwilliams Financial do planning or preparation?
We do both.
You do both?
We do both. We have an internal tax firm, right, where we can do tax returns for our clients, and we do tax planning. In fact, when clients come on board with us, that's part of the one-stop model, is that built into our relationship, we offer these things for them at no additional cost.
Gotcha. And you do any other services that you guys provide in-house?
Yeah, absolutely. We do trusts, wills, medical directors, power of attorneys, and legal consultations. We have in-house estate planning attorney, right? So we can handle those things as well. Again, someone becomes a client, or if they like us and they want to work with us, then we can build that into the program as well.
So it sounds like you guys really handle a lot of everything. I don't want to get off track. I want to make sure that we stay on taxes, but maybe in the next segment we can talk a little bit about that legal and trust planning.
Absolutely.
But next thing I'd like to know a little bit about taxes is this whole Roth thing. Everybody's hearing about it. What's going on? Can you give us a little insight?
Well, I think the thing that is making the most noise right now is the Roth conversion. Is it going to be here? Is it going to go away? How do I do it? What's the cost? It's a lot to answer. And there's techniques and strategies behind doing it. And if you were to just Google it and try to read on Investopedia or wherever you go, it's very difficult to figure out a game plan to that. And I'd also say it's difficult to go to someone who's focused on maybe just investment advice to have them look at what the tax implication would be. You don't want to go to another bracket. You don't want to be in another position that you aren't expecting. So you really have to play that very carefully. So having all those things in-house allow everyone to see the picture at one time. So I think that's really important.
And I think a lot of people try to do this themselves or try to do it online. But I guess taxes are a little bit more complicated than that.
Well, they should be in the fact that you want to try to exercise as much that is allowed to you by the IRS. There's a line between tax evasion and tax avoidance. You want to try to do as much as you can without going into the bad area, right? You don't want to be in the red zone. You want to do something illegal, but at the same time, you just don't want to do it so cookie cutter, like software, to where you don't take any advantages. And now you're paying excess money, you might as well just burn it.
Because is there a lot of money on the table when it comes to taxes, even for regular folks?
There's a lot of money for all classes. It's not just for the wealthy, it's for everyone.
You know, that I always like to hear a story. I know you were sharing a story with me earlier about taxes. Maybe you can tell us that one again?
So we had a client, they had a couple of rental properties, nothing crazy, but they had a few rental properties, and I noticed that they didn't have a company. And they're like, well, why would I don't need a company, I have a job. Yeah, but if you got a company, we could set it up as an LLC. Perhaps we set up some things. Maybe we lease a vehicle through that LLC as they go to service those properties, so on and so forth. Now we have itemization, right? And I don't want to get too deep into it, but just the idea of someone saying, hey, you should probably open up an LLC. A lot of people don't think about that. They're like, I'm not a business owner. I don't want to do that. Well, that's not what that means. And it takes an advisor. It takes someone to explain to someone how that works. that you don't have to be a business owner to do it, as in that's all you do. In fact, today's time, it really changes because you have YouTube, you have all these different social media outlets. Anyone can start a business, right?
Right.
But for taxation, that's a great way to itemize, and you can really get some good benefits.
Wow, I never even thought of it that way. But when it comes to financial advising, then, you're talking to me a little bit today about taxes, now talking about opening a corporation.
Sure.
It sounds like there's a lot more to this than just throwing your money, I guess, into a mutual fund, huh?
It doesn't feel that way over the last 10 years for a lot of people, and I understand that because it's been easy, it's a ride. But planning and just investing are two different things. When you plan, you have to look at the tax planning from multiple angles. You have to look at what investments are going to affect what. In fact, Ali, and ladies and gentlemen, I think you will like to hear this, that sometimes funds that you might hold have a special taxation that occurs to them. And I don't want to get too much into the details of how that works and everything, but you could be taxed and you don't even know it, right, Ali? And so I'm really proud of this. Our CFA made almost 2,000 trades before the new year, right before the new year, to avoid some of those, what's called in our industry, phantom gains from these mutual funds. So some people don't even get to know that that's a thing. They pay it and they don't even know.
Right.
You see that all the time. But by having the advisor who is actively looking at their portfolio and seeing what they could do to minimize that tax burden, that can add up to a significant amount.
Yeah, and I guess for a lot of people out there, it's just hard because they don't know what they don't know, right?
Absolutely.
And so and a lot of that stuff seems not only complicated, but it seems like it's buried pretty deep in there.
It's extremely deep.
We're about to have to cut to a commercial break. Before we do, can you tell us what the next steps would be for our viewing audience?
Sure, Ali. If you're watching this today and you're thinking, I would like to know, can I save some money in taxes? Maybe you're concerned about estate tax. Maybe you're concerned about capital gains tax. Maybe you own some real estate and you want to know how to maximize that. Give us a call, 1-800-685-3194. Again, 1-800-685-3194, and we would love to talk to you about that.
And so taxes is going to be one thing that's covered there, but you guys cover a lot more than that,
Sure.
huh?
We're a full holistic financial planning firm with a concierge experience.
Well, folks, you heard it from Tim himself. He's the CEO of the company, so what better place to hear it than from his mouth? Give us a call, 800-685-3194. That's 800-685-3194. I don't think you want to wait, especially with all the tax changes that are slated to come. This is a great time for you to give Tim and his team a call. We're going to be back with you in just a minute after this break. Stay tuned. We got some great information coming up in the third segment.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Hello, folks. Thank you for staying tuned. We're on our third segment here at Spot on the Money. I got Mr. Tim Fitzwilliams, CEO of Fitzwilliams Financial. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great, Ali. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. We've had a great two first segments.
It's been fun.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about taxes, all these different things. Now I'm going to hit you with the hard one, maybe the kind of sad one,
Right.
estate planning.
Okay.
So tell me, does everybody out there need a trust, or is it something that just some people need and some people don't?
I think I'll answer it like this. Does everybody want to have control of where their assets go? And if the answer is they want to have full control and not left up to the government, then yeah, you need a trust.
And Is it always the same type of trust?
No, see, and that's where it gets a little confusing. It could be multiple different. There's a lot of different trust tools, and so you really need to get educated as to what type of trust is best for you. But at the highest level, trusts are generally good for most people if they want to have control over where their assets are going to go. A lot of people say, oh, I have a will, I'm good. Well, not really, because that will can go to probate. And it doesn't guarantee it's going to go the way you wanted it to go. Not to mention there's costs, right?
And probate's something you definitely want to avoid, right?
Absolutely. That's
yeah.
just like burning money in the backyard.
Yep. And when it comes to estate planning, who do we need? Can we just go online and do this ourselves? Or?
I mean, I'm sure you could, right? But we believe, you get what you pay for in life. That's what my parents taught me growing up, right? And it is real. Yeah, you could go online and you could do it, absolutely. And you could get a trust. But will it be built correctly? Correctly defined as it's going to hold up in the court of law. Will it? So no, you need to go to a professional. You need to go to a estate planning attorney to design a trust the way you want it. And that should include your medical directive. Do you pull the plug or not? Which can be very, very emotional to go through, but you got to go through that, right? Your power of attorney. We have a client now that, thank God, they got their power of attorney done because he's starting to have some issues cognitively. And so we're going to have to exercise that. And then you might need a will that's a pour-over will that's inside of there, making sure if we didn't capture anything, it's covered. So you want those basics covered. But then there's a whole other section of advanced trust planning and estate planning that depends on what you want to accomplish. And that's where you start getting back to taxes, with estate taxes, if you want to try to reduce that or not, and how much you want to leave to your heirs. But from the original point of what you were saying is, do people need a trust? I would say most people do if they want to control where their assets go.
And sounds like you've dealt with this a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't really even think a financial advisor deals with estate planning. I guess I thought it would be just an attorney, but you guys do that as well?
Absolutely. And that's what I thought when I was getting into the industry. And that's why I made a change. I wanted to bring everyone in-house. Again, I'm not good at a lot of things. That's not what I am. I'm an economist. I do what I do best, and I trade for the rest, so I find the best. I brought in an estate planning attorney, Ali, to help individuals build their trust, to make their wishes come true in death. So the average advisor, I would say, doesn't have an in-house attorney to assist them with that. Now, there are some really smart individuals that may be an attorney and an advisor, and God bless them, that's amazing that they were able to do that. But I always ask the question, which one are they a master of?
Right, because I guess at some point you spread yourself a little too thin, right?
At this level of intellectual capital,
yeah,
it's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, it's a lot to, I mean, if it's something simple, maybe you could do a couple of jobs,
Right.
but this isn't really the type of industry you want your financial professionals wearing multiple hats, I guess.
This isn't fighting a speeding ticket.
Right.
This is seriously about your entire life savings and your family and what you're leaving behind.
Yeah, and so when it comes to this whole estate planning thing, how much is our taxes or retirement or these other areas of financial planning integrated with it?
Extremely, like a hand-in-glove fit, Ali. It's all part of the estate plan. You may have accounts that you have that you're going to pay ordinary income on. You may have accounts that you have capital gains tax. What people don't realize is all of it goes towards the estate planning threshold. And what's so scary is if they change the law to go back to maybe $1 million threshold like they did in the past, which means if you have $1 million of assets, it could be your 401k, your IRA, alphabet soup, it could be your house, a rental house, whatever it is, it's not hard to get past that number in today's world. It could be subject to up to 50% of taxes upon the death of the husband and wife going to the heirs. So it's the whole enchilada, it's everything that's going to be taxed. So then how do you navigate that? How do you try to reduce that burden? And that's where good estate planning, tax planning, and financial planning come together as one holistic, synergistic unit to solve that problem.
I can't even believe that. I mean, I'm thinking about it right now. If it's retirement accounts, then you could go through double taxation on this?
You could look at it that way, absolutely.
Jeez.
I don't know if I can say double taxation on the air, but I would say, look, you are going to pay ordinary income tax, and when you die, it becomes a part of your estate, and there is an estate tax, so you could effectively get taxed twice.
Wow, that seems unfair, but I guess it's just part of the deal.
It's part of the game, and it has to be, Ali. That's something that I think a lot of people don't understand is that we're in such debt, taxes have to go up. Well, estate tax, everyone's going to agree on, both sides of the political fence, because the government gets paid no matter what, even when a financial plan is developed, even when someone like my firm develops a financial plan to help reduce estate tax burden to the client, it doesn't mean that the government didn't get paid what they were due to get paid. We just may have utilized different techniques and strategies or collateralized things to offset stuff. Without getting too complicated, the point is the government's okay, and so are the political parties with having an estate tax. It's about the rich get richer, they know what to do, and others don't. And it's sad, but it's true.
And I guess that's kind of one of those things, because there's not many people that come back from the dead complaining about their taxes, right?
Yeah, you'll never hear it. Right, exactly. So Same with will versus trust conversation is it's too late.
Yeah.
So you don't know how it played out.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. So we're going to cut to a commercial break here. We're going to wrap up our show. But before we do, one last question about estate planning. If I wanted to try and work with a good financial professional, is everything going to be in the trust or not really?
As far as what's in the trust, it's going to be on an individual basis, and it depends on what you have. There's different types of trusts, Ali, that determine what they should hold. I think the key is that you're working with a good financial planner that's actually going to look at that aspect. A lot of people may say, I'm good because I have a trust, but then it's not helping them with their estate plan. Not every trust is going to help with estate planning and avoiding estate tax. So that's something to really think about.
All right. Well, again, we got to wrap up the show. But before we do, Tim, can you tell us, I know we've talked about estate planning. We've talked about market volatility, taxes. Feels like there's a lot of things going on in the financial world. We appreciate all the knowledge you've given us. But can you tell our viewers real fast what they can expect if they give us a call?
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys and ladies hearing what we have to say today. Estate tax can be very complicated. Estate planning can be very complicated. If you want to do that on your own, I wish you the best. It is like a full-time job. But if that's not you, or maybe you're the spouse of someone who is really good at doing it on their own, but if something was to happen to them, you don't feel comfortable navigating those waters, reach out to us. It's okay to have someone in the car with you. It doesn't mean we're going to take control and you don't have control. You just want to bounce these ideas off of someone. Make sure you're going down the right road. It's too much money that you could lose through taxes if you don't have somebody in the car with you. If you want that person to help you out, give us a call at 1-800-685-3194. Again, 1-800-685-3194.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our show. Tune in next week to Spot on the Money. Thanks again.